My name is Warren Kirsch, and I was born, raised in McGregor, Minnesota, and I enlisted in the Army in June of 1943, and they called me in August, and then I went with carload of us from Minnesota went to through Chicago, and we got stuck in the stockyards there for a day, which smelled terrible.
Where was your boot camp at?
And then we headed down to boot camp. Was in Jacksonville, Florida, a little town named Stark, Florida, which is west of Jacksonville, and it was constructed in a eucalyptus swamp. And then I had 25 weeks of infantry training, which was tough. And then my captain found out that I could bake. I'd been a baker with the Northern Pacific Baker and Cook, so instead of me transferring out, he kept me in the battalion as a baker. And I was pretty good at birthday cakes for the officers. And then in January of 45, well, a little before that, I was transferred to New York and to go overseas. And I think it was about the middle of January of 45, and we got to, what camp was that? Anyway, I forgot the name of the camp already. It's only been 70 years. And while we were in this barracks, a sergeant come in and asked if anyone could drive a bulldozer, and I says, why, sure. And I had driven a bulldozer with Northern Pacific for a few months. So I jumped in the car with him, and we went down to a motor lot, and he showed me this 32-ton General Sherman tank and showed me how to start it. And I said, well, they just put bulldozer blades on these, so I was okay. So for 2 hours I drove around this parking lot, and it was kind of fun. And at the end of 2 hours, the sergeant come back, and he says, okay, we're on our way. And this was getting to be, middle of the day, I guess, or a little later. And we drove and drove and drove, and night started to fall, and he pulls up in back of this huge cordwood pile, just a huge one. But there were shots going on. I could hear things going on. And he stopped by this tank. He says, this is your tank. You'll be in combat in minutes. And I said, oh my God, that was a big mistake I made.
Where were you? What part of the...
It was in Germany.
Oh, okay. So you went from boot camp, and how'd you get to Germany? You were a baker then?
Oh, I went to Germany by a boat that was not big. And there was 4 tier bunks, and there was a lot of seasickness. And we landed in Le Havre, France. And from there is when I went to the motor pool, and anyway, we got up behind this huge cordwood pile, and he says, your commander is Sergeant Rothell. So I said, okay. So I'm clean shaven, and here's this 6'4" guy with a big bushy beard, and he says, now what the hell are they sending me? And I says, I'm supposed to be a gunner and assistant driver. And he says, oh my God. So I met Herschel D. Hart, he was the driver, and I didn't meet the other two guys. Anyway, I helped them finish loading up, and we had a bite to eat. And then Rossell says, "Let's see you get in your tanks, we're leaving." And that was the start of combat, which was my biggest mistake, by telling him I could drive a bulldozer. And anyway, General Patton had told us to break through the lines.
Which line are you talking about?
Pardon?
Which line?
German lines, the
Okay.
fighting lines.
Okay.
And we would do that, but we would get low on fuel, so we had to hold up until infantry and the supply trucks could move up. And we did that for, oh boy, it must have been three months or so. And yeah, I think it was, we were one of the first tanks into Dachau prison camp. And then after that, we broke through some other lines, so to speak, and we were down in Austria.
Let me back up a little bit. What did you do in Dachau prison camp? Did you pull those?
Oh,
those
when we got there, we went in the south gate, and there was no Germans around. They were all gone, but there was starving bodies. Oh God, it was unbelievable to see what we saw. And I've got information on Dachau prison camp. Anyway, we saw carloads of bodies. We saw the big ovens where they were burning bodies. And then we got orders to leave after the infantry had moved up, and we took off again. And then May 8th, we were, oh, it was real mountainous too, narrow roads, and it's a big sharp U-turn, and just across the way there was a small village. And we pulled up, aimed our tanks over there, and then through the loudspeaker, which was close enough, this captain says, "German soldiers go to the right, civilians to the left," or vice versa, whatever. And they wouldn't do it. They kept right in with the civilians. So we got to fire, and we shot into them. 1 minute after we had shot, we got word that the war was over, to cease fire. There we were. I felt so sorry for those German civilians there. It was unbelievable. And then we worked our way back. What town was it? It's been so many years ago now, I've forgotten. But anyway, from there, I didn't have enough points to get out, so I was offered a job with the military government in charge of a junior college or high school, Hochschule. And so I took that over, and after a couple of days I was downtown. This was in Karlsruhe, Germany. And the streetcars there, you get off, they stop and you get off, but no traffic is allowed on the right. And just as I got off, here come a GI and a semi-truck going like a bat out of hell. And the next thing I knew, I was in the hospital in Heidelberg. And my GI pants had been torn off. Just lucky, and I was tossed up over the truck, according to what they said, and into a plate glass window. So there I was for 6 weeks. And while I was there, General Patton had been in a bad accident, and he was in the hospital just a floor just below me, and you could see the officers coming in. And he wasn't doing good at all. Anyway, my leg was pretty well shattered, and they experimented with those worms,
Yep.
plastic above and below.
Yep.
I forget what they call them.
Yeah, the little white worms, maggot.
Maggots. And geez, that cleaned it up pretty good, you know. But after 6 weeks, I got out of the hospital and then over to Karlsruhe again. And I stayed there, until the spring of 1946, I believe. And I was in charge of teaching the kids how to play baseball, or youngsters, whatever was around. First thing I had to do was have the soccer field filled in. The bomb had hit there, and it took about 20 dump loads of gravel or dirt to fill it up. And I had my own apartment, swimming pool
What town was this in?
in Karlsruhe. And Herr and Frau Speck worked for me. He was the man in charge of the grounds, and she was a cook. So she took, I would get the food from our battalion headquarters, and I had really a good deal. Yeah, I could go for a swim in the morning when I'd get up, and when I come back to my room, my uniform was laid out for me.
What kind of place was it that has a swimming pool? That's kind of
This
unusual.
was at the junior college. They had a nice apartment built in there, and it worked out just great. And I had a secretary, and then I was put in charge of the battalion PX supplies. I had a locked area there, and they'd have to come in with papers and get their cigarettes, candy, and whatever. And that worked out pretty good. And then I was waiting to transfer, and the guy said to me, he says, "Do you smoke?" And I says, "No, maybe once in a while." He says, "Buy some PX cigarettes, and we'll go into Brandenburg Gate in Berlin." So I said, well, nothing much going on right now anyway. So we went in, and I think I had 5 cartons of cigarettes. And sure enough, some guy come up to us and wanted to know if we wanted to sell cigarettes. I had some Hershey candy bars too. He gave me $2,500 a carton in German money, you know. And I forgot what I got for the candy. It wasn't too much. Anyway, we could send $100 once a day to home. So I sent a few bucks home. Went back to Karlsruhe, and then I was called to head home. So then I got on another small ship. Oh God, it was terrible. Landed in New York. Of course, by then the war was nobody around. Nobody greeted those few guys that come back. Then I got a train to Minneapolis, and or not Minneapolis, Camp McCoy, Wisconsin. I got my discharge and then went on into Minneapolis, and I stayed there a couple days, and I hitchhiked home up to McGregor. Oh, and while I was in Karlsruhe, I wanted a little dachshund, and Herr Speck found one for me. Her name was Lenny, and it was a little tan one, you know. And so I got her, and they said if you can get a dog on board, you're okay. So when we were getting ready to get on the ship to go home, I had put this dog, Lenny, in my duffel bag. And everything was going just fine until I went by the inspector, the sergeant there, and she barked. He says, open that duffel bag. I did, and there was this dog. He says, I'll give you an hour and a half to go back into La Havre to get rid of the dog or ship her. So I went back in town with the dog, and I found a vet. And he says, yeah, he would ship her. It was $135. And I had $150, I think, on me. So I looked at the dog and said, oh, I can't leave her. So I paid the $135, and that's the last I saw of her then until I'd been home about 3 days. And I got a call from the depot agent in McGregor. He says, there's a dog here, I think, waiting for you. And so I went down there, you know, and sure enough, there she was. She had been fed, but she hadn't gone potty, you know, for quite a while. So between greeting me and doing a little something, so I had her for a few years, and then when I got to McGregor and got home, my dad took care of her while I was in school. And I went to pick her up after the second year, I think, something like that. Oh no, he said, that's my dog. But I've had dachshunds ever since. This is another rescue doing.
Sure. Well, let me go back to Patton in the hospital. What caused his death? What killed Patton?
He was in his car accident, and he was really bruised up in the chest, broken bones. He had a leg broken, an arm broken, and the nurses changed their time at 11 o'clock at night, I guess. And the new nurse that come on duty to watch him wasn't told to drain his lungs because he was having troubles. And the next morning he died.
So he drowned in his own fluid?
In his own fluids, yeah. Yeah.
That never came out on the news.
No, not a bit. No.
So the poor nurse wasn't told to drain the lungs, and he drowned in his own fluid.
Yeah.
That's sad. Now,
Yeah, that was kept quiet.
well, I can see why.
I never said anything
Yeah.
about it.
Now, when you were in the tank, did you have a bulldozer blade on all the time?
No,
Oh.
never did have one.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No.
And what, did you have any problems going through Europe in the tank? Did you get hit quite a few times?
Oh
Or
yeah, we got hit once, knocked out.
the tank got knocked out?
Yeah.
What hit it?
Our left front got hit with a bazooka or something, and we went back and got in another tank, and we just about got it again. We were coming up over a little hill, and our tank commander got word from somebody in the infantry that there was a Panzer down below us and back of this building just waiting for us to take that trail. So we knew the infantry would be moving up, so we stalled a little bit, but then we started, and as we got down there, then this Panzer come, and as he come out to shoot at us, we went the other way, on the other side of the building. And that kept up for about a half hour. And they never did get a shot at us, but the infantry moved up and they took care of it.
They put a bazooka in the Panzer?
Yeah, yeah. But we got hit with rifle fire. It didn't mean a thing, no. But driving at night was tough. All we had was our periscope, and we could see a small tail light of the tank in front of us. And sometimes Pat would say to keep going, you know, and we'd gas up and just keep going. We'd break up power lines and
By accident, or you tried to knock them down?
try to knock them down. We'd just hit the posts or the poles and knock them down. We just kept going till well, we'd get low on gas again. We had twin Cadillac engines, I think, and about a mile per gallon on gas. It was it was pretty tough, so we couldn't do over maybe 100 miles. And some days, well, when you're idling too, you know, we get word to hold up, and engines would keep running. You didn't dare shut them off. We pulled up to a small town one night, and we were staying in a barn. There was a hayloft, and we could sleep up there, and one guy would be on duty. And I was on duty about midnight, and I started to hear shots, and then a big one come right over me. Big gun, big ammo of some kind. Anyway, it scared me. I jumped off to the left instead of right, and it was a manure pile. And there I was, waist deep in manure. No time to take a bath or change, no clothes to change, so the guys put up with me for the next few days. Oh God, that was a real mess.
Inside of a hot tank?
Yes.
Oh geez.
Oh, those tanks leaked. We hit snow and rain and stuff, you know, in the spring, and those suckers leaked terrible. And then when we'd fire, you get all smoked up in there, and the noise was terrible. And you better have your earphones on, or you're going to get hurt. And a couple times, I had taken them off, and oh, my hearing has never been good since. But I did get 2 hearing aids.
Now, when you went into, let's see, into the Dachau prison camp, did you have to bulldoze anything down, or?
No, we didn't have a bulldozer.
Oh, you had no blades on, so you just kept
They
going?
lied
Or?
to me.
Huh?
The sergeant lied to me.
Oh, okay.
I say that was my biggest mistake.
Yeah. Well, then when you were in Dachau, did you just keep going, or did you stop for a while, or?
We were there for maybe 2.5, 3 hours.
Why did you have to stop?
Well, we were in the camp, and we were low on fuel anyway.
Oh, so you, okay.
And that's when I had a chance to. They had boxes lined up with people in them, skin and bones, and they were experimenting on how long they could live with so much water on each one. And you could see their eyes would blink once in a while, but that was it. They were that, oh.
So they were in wooden boxes?
Yeah, they, like a wooden coffin, only there's a long box.
And did it have a cover on it, or the cover off?
No cover, nothing.
Just boxes. And
They were laid out there. I think there's 10 or 12 of them that we saw that when we pulled in there, they were.
so they
And
give them so much water and see how long it lasts?
Well, you could see that their water was in back of them. They had bottles of water, and I suppose they'd give them so much water a day or whatever it was. I don't know what they were experimenting for. But the patients, the prisoners themselves, couldn't even move. They just couldn't.
Too weak.
Yeah, they were so weak.
Do you think that any of them survived, do you think? Any idea if it?
I have no idea. Yeah. It was someplace I've got information on Dachau prison camp.
Was there a lot of people then still living that they could help later?
There were some.
Okay.
I remember a little Polish guy in a big army coat come up to us after we'd been there half hour or so. And he had a hen's egg in his hands he wanted to give to us. Oh, and he was skinny, oh gosh. Yeah, there was a few people there, but they were prisoners that hadn't been put away yet.
Had they turned the furnaces off yet, or are they still going?
They were still hot. So evidently those people had, the German soldiers had left just hours or the day before. And the people in town, there's a little town next there, they said they didn't know anything about it. They did, but they wouldn't admit it.
Yeah.
Jeez. That town was only a half a mile from this prisoner camp.
Well, they must have greeted you with open arms to some degree when you came. With the prisoners?
Yeah, the main tanks and people come in from the west, and we had gone down and come in from the south, so there wasn't many where we were. But all the brass are up there on the other one.
Same camp, but you mean different entrance?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that the place Eisenhower and Patton came to? You know, offhand?
Jeez, I don't remember.
Okay.
It might have been. There was more than one camp.
Oh yeah, no, quite a few.
And you could see where they had put the ashes of people. They were having a garden grow on top of it, you know.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, bad time. I used to ask kids today, what do you think of the world would be like if the Nazis would have won?
Oh.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
Yeah. And there's some people doesn't believe in the Holocaust, you know.
Oh yeah, always will be.
Gee.
Did you have any other experiences driving your tank that got you concerned?
Towards the end, the last couple of weeks, we were taking prisoners, and they were all youngsters. God, they had uniforms on that were too big for them, but they were mean. And if we didn't shoot and settle them down to give up, they would be right there. They were Nazis, without a doubt.
Brainwashed and so.
Pardon?
They're brainwashed to
Oh,
do
sure.
what they were doing.
Sure. We took a lot of prisoners.
And then what happened to the prisoners? Did you have to take them someplace? Or?
Well, we were busy going, so
Yeah.
we'd have, when the infantry moved up, they would take the prisoners back. Once in a while, we would search them, make sure there was no arms on them. And
Did you ever go back to Europe
yeah,
after the
I
war?
went back once.
Where'd you go?
We were mostly in France, and this was on the trail that the 12th Armored had. And then the next one was supposed to have been last year, the rest of the way where we were. But then I'm in no condition to travel, so.
So they had a tour on the route
Yeah.
the 12th Armored Division
Yep.
took. Who sponsored that?
Oh gosh. This one guy, I can't remember his name, but
Oh, okay. Was it part of the 12th Armored
he was out of Florida, yeah.
Association?
And it was a great tour. Gosh, he had people there, unbelievable.
Well, there's a town someplace, I don't know if it's Belgium or where, every 5 years they bring out all the American World War II vehicles and have a parade
Oh.
and carry American flags. So the town remembers they were
Yeah.
liberated. I don't know the name of the
We
town.
went back, I think it was 3 years ago, 4 years ago now, I can't remember, but they had a big day for us there.
Which town was this in? This was in France?
Yeah, it was in France.
Okay.
It's a big burial ground there for GIs.
Okay.
Here, I thought France took care of it, but America pays for every bit of it, for all the upkeep,
Yeah.
all the maintenance.
Of the cemetery.
Yeah, France has nothing to do with it. I couldn't hardly believe it. I thought they would do that, but they still think they won the war themselves.
Have I missed anything?
No, we did get through the Maginot Line, see what that was like. Boy, I tell you, that was really a fortress.
That was the concrete pillars?
Yes, yep. Places to look out.
Yeah, the bunkers, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you have to go through that with your tanks?
No,
Okay.
no.
This is afterwards you're
Yeah.
talking
yeah.
about.
But I wouldn't want to go through it again, but
No.
it was an experience that I'll never forget.
It's an honor being here today.
Pardon?
It's an honor being here today.
Oh,
Thank you for your time.
yeah. I had an angel on my shoulder the whole time.